The 16th century, a world cloaked in the shadows of medieval dogma, where the whispers of dissent were swiftly silenced by the iron fist of the Catholic Church. Imagine a time when a single institution held dominion over the spiritual and intellectual lives of millions, its power seemingly unassailable. But beneath the veneer of conformity, a storm was brewing. A storm that would shatter the monolithic structure of the Church and forever reshape the landscape of Western civilization. This was the era of the Protestant Reformation, a seismic shift in religious thought that reverberates to this very day. A time of upheaval and transformation, of martyrs and revolutionaries, of bold challenges to established authority. It was a time when men like Martin Luther, a humble monk from the German town of Wittenberg, dared to question the very tenets of their faith. When the printing press, a revolutionary invention of the era, became a weapon in the hands of reformers, spreading their ideas like wildfire across the continent. From the hallowed halls of the Vatican to the bustling streets of London, from the windswept plains of Scotland to the sun-drenched hills of Italy, the Reformation touched every corner of Europe. But what were the seeds of this momentous upheaval? What were the grievances that drove men and women to risk their lives for the sake of religious freedom? And what were the consequences of this great schism, not only for the Church itself, but for the course of Western history? Join me as we embark on a journey through the tumultuous landscape of the 16th century, a journey that will shed light on the origins, the struggles, and the lasting legacy of the Protestant Reformation. To truly grasp the magnitude of the Protestant Reformation, we must first turn our attention to the men and women who dared to challenge the established order. These were not merely religious figures, but scholars, theologians, and even monarchs, united by a common desire for reform. At the forefront of this movement stood Martin Luther, an Augustinian monk whose conscience could no longer bear the weight of the Church's excesses. His 95 theses, nailed to the door of the castle church in Wittenberg in 1517, ignited a firestorm of controversy. Luther's criticisms were manifold. He denounced the sale of indulgences, a practice by which wealthy sinners could buy their way out of purgatory. He questioned the authority of the Pope, arguing that Scripture alone should be the ultimate source of religious truth. He even dared to translate the Bible into German, making it accessible to the common people. But Luther was not alone. In Switzerland, a brilliant young scholar named John Calvin was developing a new theology based on the principles of predestination and the sovereignty of God. His teachings would inspire countless followers across Europe and beyond, establishing a new branch of Protestantism known as Calvinism. In England, King Henry VIII's desire for a divorce led to a dramatic break with Rome and the establishment of the Church of England. While Henry's motives were primarily political, his actions had far-reaching consequences, paving the way for the spread of Protestantism throughout the British Isles. These are just a few of the key figures who shaped the course of the Reformation. Their ideas, fueled by the power of the printing press, spread rapidly across the continent, challenging the traditional authority of the Church and inspiring new movements for religious and political reform. But why were these ideas so appealing to so many? What were the grievances that drove people to embrace a new form of Christianity? The grievances against the Catholic Church were not merely theological. They were deeply intertwined with the social, political, and economic fabric of 16th century Europe. The Church's moral authority had been eroded by a litany of scandals. The sale of indulgences, the lavish lifestyles of the clergy, and the widespread practice of simony, the buying and selling of church offices, had eroded public trust in the institution. The Church's teachings were increasingly questioned by a growing number of theologians and scholars. The Renaissance, with its emphasis on humanism and critical thinking, had created a climate of intellectual curiosity and skepticism. Figures like Erasmus of Rotterdam called for a return to the original sources of Christianity and a simpler, more personal form of faith. Political factors also played a crucial role. The growing power of nation-states and the rise of nationalism led to conflicts between secular rulers and the papacy. Monarchs sought to assert their authority over religious matters within their realms. The invention of the printing press amplified these grievances, allowing reformers to disseminate their ideas far and wide. Luther's 95 Theses were quickly translated and circulated throughout Europe, sparking a wave of debate and discussion. Economic factors cannot be ignored either. The vast wealth of the Catholic Church was a source of resentment for many. The growing gap between rich and poor, exacerbated by economic changes like the rise of capitalism, further fueled social unrest. Many reformers called for a more equitable distribution of wealth and a greater focus on social justice. In essence, the Protestant Reformation was a multifaceted phenomenon, born of a confluence of factors. It was a protest against religious corruption, a quest for spiritual renewal, a struggle for political power, and a response to economic and social change. It was a movement that challenged the established order and set in motion a series of events that would reshape the course of Western history. The Protestant Reformation was not merely a religious schism, it was a catalyst for profound and lasting change. It shattered the religious unity of Europe, leading to decades of conflict and bloodshed, but it also paved the way for a more pluralistic and diverse society. The Reformation's emphasis on individual conscience and the authority of Scripture laid the groundwork for the Enlightenment, a period of intellectual and philosophical inquiry that would profoundly shape the modern world. It also contributed to the rise of democracy, as people began to question traditional hierarchies and demand a greater say in their own governance. In the realm of education, the Reformation led to the establishment of new schools and universities as Protestants sought to educate their children in their own faith. This had a democratizing effect as literacy rates increased and knowledge became more widely accessible. Economically, the Reformation contributed to the rise of capitalism as Protestant values of hard work, thrift, and individual initiative were seen as conducive to economic success. This had both positive and negative consequences, leading to unprecedented prosperity for some, but also to widening inequality and social unrest. The Protestant Reformation also had a profound impact on the arts. The iconoclasm of some Protestant groups led to the destruction of religious art and architecture, but it also inspired new forms of artistic expression, such as the Protestant hymn and the Dutch Golden Age painting. The legacy of the Reformation is still felt today. The religious landscape of Europe and the Americas is a testament to its lasting impact. The values of individual liberty, religious freedom, and the importance of education, which were central to the Reformation, continue to shape our societies. The Protestant Reformation was a complex and multifaceted event with far-reaching consequences. It was a time of upheaval and transformation, of conflict and renewal. But it was also a time of great courage and conviction, as men and women dared to challenge the established order in pursuit of a deeper and more authentic faith. The Protestant Reformation is a story that continues to resonate with us today. It reminds us of the power of ideas, the importance of challenging authority, and the enduring human quest for spiritual meaning. If you've enjoyed this journey through history, please consider subscribing to our channel for more fascinating explorations of the past. And as always, thank you for watching.